And we're live. Welcome everybody to the Dmvdrakes podcast. We got CardfightKing here. We got Blackace, and we got DreadJoker 18, and we got me Zixxsa, and we're gonna be talking about some fucking. Oh damn! I cursed in the first 30 seconds. Oh well. We're gonna be talking about some. We're gonna be talking about some end of BT-12, just our experiences with the whole format. Was it fun? You know, Ultimate Cups and Store Champs and everything, and just talking about competitive Digimon in a whole. Maybe touch base on some of the BT-14 reveals, but I just wanted to start off with Store Champs, just wrapping that up. I personally got decimated. How do you guys feel about the pricing? I'm actually interested to hear that. No more regionals invite or Nats invites. So how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it.
I'm 100% okay with it.
I'm
I
perfectly fine.
I was a big advocate during last Store Champs. I mean, I even got my invite from Store Champs, and I was still an advocate saying that I should not be getting my invite from a locals. Um, it just feels like a knock to those that go out of their way to compete in these big events, and you have to get top 16
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
it's
get
up.
your invite.
Yeah,
This is top 16 and have 512 people. And that just doesn't translate well to 1 in 16, 1 out of 16 people. And then that doesn't include all of the uh, malicious activities that some stores were, um, I don't even want to say accused of doing. There's confirmed happenings of illusion, selling off invites,
Damn.
closing
backdoor.
backdoor invites. It's just there was just too much stuff that happens on a local level that there's no way to like control on or to reasonably control
Yeah,
that it warranted keeping store champs potential giving store champs potential invites. I think cutting these store champs invites was a good move. Um it also de-incentivized people that don't care for the promos to participate because there were people that were participating and knocking people out of contention for store champs, even though they didn't care for the invite. They just wanted the promos and they wanted easy access to the promos.
I didn't even.
yeah. Also, the cap too. I think there was also the 16 player cap where, and I mean, I don't know I don't know how often stores were able to host them per month or per few months or
It
whatever.
was one, depending on what type of store it was. I think bronzes were allowed one per season, golds were allowed two, and silvers were allowed two.
Yeah, I mean that to me still because like even in the area, like you know there are people where it's like them and their whole group will go in, sign up, take up slots for the store championship, and then obviously like we said they have backdoor ways of getting their group or people invites and things like that. And like this is coming from me, like I got my invite last year from getting six at the Cartomatica Magica regionals, but I participated in store championships, because I wanted the Eismon promo. Uh, I wanted the store championship version of it, but I wanted the Eismon promo. So that was my main incentive to doing that. But also, it was like, hey, look, if my friends are playing in it, then it's like, if they want to go to nationals, then I have no problem with being a gatekeeper, which is what a lot of people were uh, doing during those sort of championships. So by taking that away, and also kind of I think removing the cap as well, and kind of like just making the prizing top four, I think that just it makes for a more glorified locals, but it it just makes it more for a. I just think the environment is better than that.
Yeah, the environment's better. It's a lot less toxic. I think it's
Oh
better for
yeah,
the community. And honestly, store championships should be celebrated. It's not an easy thing. And like, I think part of the reason people feel as though it's not worth it is because they themselves are making it so. I think winning a store championship, even if it is a quote unquote glorified locals, there's people that are still traveling that you don't normally see like our normal turnout is what between 12 and like 16 people. We had almost 30 at our store championship,
Yeah.
and I think that's just something to be celebrated. Like, sure, there's no invite on the line, so the people that want the invite from it um, don't want to come through, but that doesn't mean nobody wants to come through.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
And in
people
terms
were.
of prizing,
Uh,
go ahead.
Nah, I didn't even know people were colluding that bad. People, there were backdoor deals for championship spots, bro. I didn't
Yeah.
even
Look,
know.
there was stores that like the organizer locked up the event and then uh sold off the invite to people. There was a store that the owner wanted to go to Nats, and so he just gave himself the invite. It was a lot of stuff,
I
Yeah.
and
I
being a big company, having to handle multiple TCGs and all kinds of other business things, you don't have time to be worrying about what's going on a local level. So rather than deal with the controversy, it's better to just cut it out.
Yeah, I knew people were wrestling for like One Piece promos and like spots to enter like One Piece tournaments just on like a local level, but I didn't know people were like actively store owners were actively colluding with themselves just to get an invite to Nats just to go like
Mm-hmm.
X7. You know, that's insane to me, bro. That you did all that effort just to go X7 and drop.
I
Hey, but
mean,
the Nats participation stuff is worth money, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
doesn't really matter what your doesn't matter how you place, but if you do better, you make more. So
That is
I
true.
mean, also the one thing I hate that was annoying too, is that it's like you're going around on YouTube. It's like, all right, cool. I made a deck profile. I won my store championships with X deck. This is what and what I played against. Blah blah. Is the fact that like people are actively like discrediting your store championship win, getting your invite to nationals because you won a store champion, and all the stuff we spoke about, the collusion, the colluding, gatekeeping, all that other stuff could have been a factor in posted your list for clout reasons or whatever it is. And it's like making it to nationals was not an impressive feat. With them taking it away now, nationals is what, to me, I think the respect for making it to nationals now has been more or less restored without having that invite from your locals.
That is a good point because when we were watching like the stream for nationals, I don't want to say any names, but we did see a lot of like either active cheating or just low level play. Like people were reading their
Well, yeah.
cards.
now some of the low level play you can chalk up to nervousness because I did see like one of the players, especially in top eight, I think it was one of the cross players, he forgot to save a few times.
Uh,
But like in between, like he during when it wasn't his turn,
mm,
he would put his hand down on the table and you could visibly see his hand shaking because he
Jesus,
was just that nervous.
poor guy.
So I don't want to say that it's 100% low level play, but you could definitely say that like not everybody's locals is stacked. So
That's true.
No. Well,
like
some people just went there just to have fun,
yeah,
in
exactly.
California.
It was
Not
fun.
for the national championships. I'm a serious competitor. They were like, yeah, I'm gonna go X3 at local. I'm gonna go X3 at Nats, get my prizing, and just have fun in California for the rest of the event.
Like I don't
And
even.
then like there's what the store championships again. Um, like there was the ones at Gritty where we were having to sweat. We were had to take our best decks. I was
Hmm.
grinding Metal Garurumon for every event, trying to get my invite.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But then there's the one that happened at Crit Hit, and where everybody was way more casual about it. And my first opponent was playing Aosmon, and I'm like, man.
Feel you on that. Like Crit Hit was interesting. I remember us like just driving around to each store championships just to make it to Nats and just grinding it out like constantly. So I'm kind of glad that the Nats invite is gone in a way because that is easier on my gas and my wallet.
I mean, I'm still trying to do the drive because I really want those promos.
Mm.
So it doesn't take any. It didn't change anything for me, invite or not. I'm still driving around to as many store champs as I can get to.
I see.
But now it's just for the promo. But you have to earn those promos. It's not like, well, I mean, the promos as far as if you want like the top 4 stamp and the CL stamp and whatnot. I think.
Yeah.
But, like it's more worth to go to the store championships now than it was then.
Yeah, because
if you're going for the artwork.
Yeah, because what were even the promos like for the store champs? You got like, I mean,
last year it was like Eismon. Eismon was the one everybody wanted.
Yeah,
but
the Cordramon, the security Cordramon was one. Something else.
Oh, Yellow Wizardmon from BT-6. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but no,
no, it wasn't.
That card hasn't been used in 2 years.
Man.
The Tortomon.
Yeah.
Metal Mamimon, Guilmon, and Namon.
Man, those are some hits, bro. I don't know. These all sound like hits to me.
Nah.
I love Digimon and their choice of alt art.
You said what?
I said I love Digimon's choice of alt arts all the time, man.
Of course.
Yeah, man, I love getting alt art Parasaurmon and 8mon for my regional packs. I love spending $30 just to get those because, you know, I get nothing else.
You don't like you don't like it?
Oh man, I love it.
Oh right. Excuse me. Yeah,
you're getting nervous. You're getting nervous. No.
Man, I can't wait to get my store champ prizing though from Friday's store champ.
Oh, we're never getting that store champ stuff, man. I don't know. I don't think we're ever getting that.
All right. Well, let's segue off of that.
All right, next topic. Did any of us actually do ultimate cups? Like, I don't think any of us actually did ultimate cups.
I did.
You did?
I didn't do any BT-12. I didn't do a BT-12 one. We did BT-11 ultimate cup stuff.
Same prizing though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the prizing. I don't think I agree with the format.
Why don't you like the format?
I'd much rather it be like swapped around where we're playing for all those Gallantmon line cards sometimes, and then get my invite from that rather than just play for a bunch of regional champion Shoutmon King versions and BT-4 mons. That's
well, that's the prizing. That's not like the actual format.
If you want to talk about the format, I mean, monocolor's nice, and they have special restrictions to kind of keep certain decks in check. But the problem is that you're playing it for a month, and you're gonna go right back to playing regular format Digimon, and regular format Digimon just feels so much more expressive and a lot more creative because you're not just relegated to one color, especially if there's a bunch of cards that digivolve over like a blue Agumon or something like that, for example. You get a lot more creative with it.
So in terms of format, I think I like the monocolor format. I 100% agree that it's rough grinding out a format just for a month, only to go back to the regular format the next month, and that's kind of what burned me out of BT-11, because I loved BT-11, but participating in the Ultimate Cup, we were sitting there grinding for hours with monocolor, only to have to go back right after the event and start grinding a different format. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth because I'm doing extra grinding, and it just doesn't feel rewarding to do all this extra grinding.
I could definitely see that.
Um, in terms of prizing, I've been preaching this since they started doing, or since they had all of these events last year, the DC ones, the Ultimate Cups, the regionals. I've been preaching that they should just do away with all of them and combine them into one event. Just combine Ultimate Cup, combine regionals. That way, regionals, the invite isn't the only thing you're fighting for. Because at the current moment, I don't have any intention of going to Nats next year. I'm only competing in regionals because I get satisfaction at competing on the highest level that I
Mm.
possibly can. But I would much rather enter Ultimate Cups than regionals because regionals you get an invite and a patent on the back versus Ultimate Cup you're winning these promos that are the only way to get them is through topping Ultimate Cups, and they're very valuable. So you're rewarded for your time. Now, I'm not saying that you should only be playing to be rewarded for your time, but it's extra incentive.
I definitely can understand where you're coming from. I just like playing Digimon like you at the highest level. I don't really. I would like to go to Nats, but I just don't have like the funds a lot of the time to make it. I wish they had better regionals, more spaced out. Like maybe if you had like something like what Yu-Gi-Oh does, where they have like a YCS like every 2 weeks in different areas, it'll feel a little bit more rewarding. Right now, we just have like when is the next regionals? Like in person
I mean,
regionals.
Next month.
they've done so few in-person regionals that it's crazy.
Yeah,
You would think with COVID restrictions lifted that they would do more in-person ones, but they're doing less than they did last year.
that's
I mean,
what.
they've converted like since we're in like the DC, the Washington DC area, they converted Otakon regionals into a 2K event. So it's like, well, I mean, yeah, it's inside of a really popular con, but like, for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go there to get my invite to nationals. But
Right.
now it's like it's just a 2K, so I don't think it's worth
Yeah, I'm
going.
not even gonna bother with it personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
doing
no, I'm
it.
not.
Just for like
No.
2K store credit, and I get a couple boxes, whippity doo. But by that point, you know what I mean. By that point, you should already like have everything you need, and that is just like
I mean,
superfluous.
you could probably hold the store credit and use it for like a case of the very next set, but I
I
Yeah, I
think
just
it.
guess.
Yeah, I think it's
I
two
don't I don't
Ks.
feel the drive like I did last year when there was a Nats invite on the line. And like I
Yeah.
said, I had no intention of going to Nats last year, and I don't have any intention of going this year. But the people that do want to go to Nats, those are the people that I want to play against because those are the people that are taking the game as seriously as I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
I do want to go to Nats, but like for me, it's just that Nats was not a drivable distance. Going from DC to California was not drivable. Um, sanity purposes, anyways.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like that is a large, for some, not all, but for some, that is a large financial commitment that you would have to make to, you know even get to the IRL venue for nationals, which is one reason why I said I wouldn't mind if nationals was online, but I understand that online is not what you should probably do for your games like one-time national championship to see who goes to worlds. But that being said, I would like to play. I do like playing in regionals. 'Cause again, I don't mind getting, but just like Alex, I enjoy also playing against the better players. I almost had my invite. I went 6-0 at the last online regional, and then I dropped the last 3 rounds and placed 43rd, which ripped my gut out. But like, it was still, you're playing against the highest level of competition. You see a lot of people, and then it's like, hey, I can run with the best of them. But yeah, with less, but I think with less invites available, we're definitely going to have a smaller nationals for sure. Um, Even if there are side events for people who didn't qualify and things like that. Now, the thing that was kind of stupid was that they had like 2 days at national. They had 2 days of last chance qualifiers to qualify for nationals, like at the venue.
Well, that's because they had 512 spots for nationals. That's another thing with these store championships is that there was too many people that qualified for nats.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yep.
Like if you really think about it, the way that they're doing the regionals, they only have to host 32 events to fill up a nationals.
Hmm.
Hosting 32 events is not hard if you're doing four of them in 1 month. That's literally what, a little over half a year
Yeah.
Hmm.
if you're doing four of them a month, and that's not counting the weekends that they're doing two in one weekend.
Hmm.
And so filling up nationals is a lot easier, and you can halt the amount of people because we had when I looked at the spreadsheet to find my name to see if my invite got in there, there was over 1,000 people qualified for Nats last year.
That is true. There was a lot of people
And
that
for
qualified.
paper keeping purposes, that's a lot of people to go through to
That
verify
is.
that these people have invites. Granted, they probably have people to do that and systems in place to check. That's still extra work when you can just guarantee, hey, we don't have more than our cap. We can do these last minute qualifiers to fill out any slots for people that had last minute things come up and can't attend.
Sounds like a more of a quality over quantity thing because they only had like what
I think so.
they only had like what 1,000 people, but they had like 3,000 people that qualified for Nats. It's like 1,000 spots per
No,
3,000
they.
people. I don't
I
know.
thought they had five. Was it 500 or was it 1,000 slots for Nats?
That was 1,000.
It was 1,000.
It was like 1,006, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like they had like 1,000 people or 1,000 slots or oh, okay, 1152, but they had over 3,000 people qualify because every store that was hosting Bandai events had a store champion, at least one, qualify. And so you have all the stores across the country, then you've got all the people that top the massive amount of regionals that they were hosting because you guys got to remember this is back when before they started doing it alternating months.
That is
Almost
true.
every weekend was a regional.
Yeah, that is true.
They were rapid firing these regionals left and right.
I think I would prefer that though, but like not necessarily online. I think I would prefer more in-person regionals. I know it's more costly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
They should definitely do more in-person regionals, but uh, I don't really know what to say about that. They absolutely should.
Yeah.
um,
But I mean, back on the topic of like the Ultimate Cup, like it's which I mean that was a weird segue, but like it's you're right. Like I think the alternative format for them, like the ban list, I think what they're using that is that they're using that to test, how metas are going to be if we, hit certain things and whatnot. Like I feel like that's a big test thing. The monocolored is fine, it's whatever to a degree, but I think they also use that for testing certain things. But it also makes a lot of decks incomplete. Like me as a purple player, I feel like purple, outside of Beelzemon, purple has been like totally invalidated in the Ultimate Cup format. If not for Beelzemon, like they hit Cerberus, they hit
Yeah,
Wolverine.
they hit almost every purple deck.
Yeah,
Mono purple Beelstar and Beelzemon are like the only two that you could functionally play that's in a one of the higher tiers. And purple's best tamer is still Analog Youth.
yep. and that's gone. So
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean it's cool. I'm not a big. I feel like Ultimate Cup, like what Jared was saying, was like I feel like it's still kind of like more like a casual cup. I guess I usually think of it as more like let's just have fun, but the pricing is better. So you want to take it more seriously because the pricing is better
That is true.
than regionals. It's weird. I wish they kind of flopped it, but that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, just combine them into one.
Yeah.
This may sound weird, but I actually like Ultimate Cup rules a little bit better than like the standard Digimon rules.
Mm-hmm.
Just because when I go to locals, I'm already playing meta. And then when I do like regionals, I'm already kind of like playing meta. So it's just nice to have other formats.
It's nice to have other formats, but I just don't think Ultimate Cup with prizing that's better than your regionals is the way to do it.
Oh, absolutely not. If anything, they should have like maybe even just give out like more product instead of better pricing, because even like the Ultimate Cup stuff, what was it? You got the Cool Boy, right, in those packs? I think you got Cool Boy in those packs, right? You had the Cool Boy, you had
The
the
Cool Boy,
Mimi.
the Coda. You just had better. There was better promos at the Ultimate Cup too.
Yeah.
So it's literally like, why play at the regionals? You just play at Ultimate Cup.
Yeah, why would you do that? Like, why would you play? Why would you get this Geo Greymon that nobody's ever going to use when you can get this fucking Cool Boy here? Doesn't. What are you prioritizing? That's what I don't. That's what I don't get. Are you prioritizing like
I
Ultimate
think
Cups?
the quick fix to give the casual players, or the not even just the casual players, just to give everybody their break, give them these fun formats that they want to try so bad. Take a note out of what you're doing with Battle Spirits with the online events. They're hosting these online events for Battle Spirits. They did the first one last weekend, and they gave out deck boxes, special cores, things like that. Do that.
And more swag.
Save this. Yeah, just give more swag. People love swag, so they're going to come and play for it. Give these nice Gallantmon promos, these the Vmon line promos that we get at Ultimate Cup. Throw those at regionals to incentivize people playing regionals, to reward these players for playing for this invite to go to the highest level. It just feels like you're playing on the highest level for what? Outside of self-satisfaction. Not everybody gets that self-satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe they should like make a Tentomon backpack.
You just want a Tentomon backpack.
Right. You just want
Nobody else wants a Tentomon backpack.
Not really.
Just me. Well,
maybe sheep.
Maybe
no.
sheep. On the topic of Tentomon backpack, speaking of a Digimon that hasn't been relevant in like forever, was BT-12 your favorite format so far? Like, how do you feel about BT-12 as a whole? Since we're coming up towards the tail end of it, is it good? Is it bad? I honestly think it's probably the best format we've had since like probably BT-5, in my opinion. Honestly, like to me, this is like the most fun format.
I think it's definitely one of the most fun formats, even with the hit to Beelzemon. I think that it's definitely really there's just a lot of balance. There's like you don't have a deck where you can say this is like the close to tier 0 where it's just winning every event and things like that. Like, yeah, Beelzemon was doing well, but like this format, I think it's just been really good. And even with the hit to Beelzemon, I think it's even better because now you're having a lot of players who were playing Beelzemon because of the EX2 Impmon, the ramp search, and all that you got from it. Now are dropping, a lot of people are just dropping the deck, and there's a lot more variety now from what I've seen in in the format, and I think that that's really good. And I think that while I wouldn't consider this my favorite format by far, because I think that we have much more fun over the next two formats that's going to happen. I I like this format, but I think I like BT 1.5 the best overall, but that's probably because I'm a boomer.
Really?
You're definitely a boomer.
Yeah, I'm definitely a boomer.
Personally, I think that this is a really good format, just because a lot of the decks that they did introduce, and a lot of decks that you know got minor buffs probably from the set, like the Greymon deck, that kind of like keep them relevant without necessarily breaking the game. I thought the Greymon decks would be a lot more annoying to deal with, but honestly, they're pretty tame. And a lot of decks can outspeed them. And I think it's probably like between this format and BT8. I think BT8 is a really good format as well. Also, red hybrid, red hybrid.
There's a little bit of echo in you. There's a little bit of echo in you.
Same.
There's a little bit of
I think it was same. I think this was a pretty good set to really. I think this is bring a lot of decks into the game. Really, I think bring a lot of there's a lot of viable decks that can kind of bring a lot of wins. There's a lot of tops like I didn't expect kind of bring a lot of wins that well because of the amount of bad matchups that are prevalent in this meta. But lo and behold, they both topped a regional. So who am I to really say what's good and what's bad?
There was a little bit of echo. Can you repeat yourself, please? Because I couldn't hear you. It was a little like it was some Jaredception going on. Can you?
Jaredception.
There was some Jaredception, bro. I'm sorry. There was some Jaredception going on.
You want me to repeat everything? I just said I'd like this format, and compared to like another format I liked, like BT8, because there's a lot of viable decks, and a lot of really anything. There's a lot of viable colors that got buffed slash reintroduced to the game. So
what viable colors?
Like black's good.
Where?
Because of
Green. That's not Grandis.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Not Grandis green.
That's true. I mean,
Grandis green is
interesting because it never really goes away. Like it's, I can only like think maybe on like one hand where green was kind of mid, maybe, and that was like BT8 because we didn't really get a lot. We just got like Shivamon, and Shivamon's not really it's a deck, but it didn't do much against the meta at the time. It was just too much like Armor Purge, and Mastermon just came out with fucking Flame Hell Scythe and all that, and it was just a little too slow.
If you compare Digimon to Yu-Gi-Oh for a second and talk about like YCSs and stuff, there's always two people that you're going to run in that are going to go to a YCS. It's going to be your Exodia players and your Chainburn players.
Yeah.
Grandis is definitely the Exodia players. They just have a hard-on for the deck. They refuse to put it down. They're going to take it to every event possible, and they just think that they're always supposed to do well with it because it's an auto win.
That is very true. I mean,
like no matter how much they beat the deck up, there's always going to be that one Grandis player that can't give the deck up and is going to go to all of the events.
Like all the Yellow Lord Knight players are still like lurking around, and all the Aeosmon players are still lurking around, but worse.
That's different. Those are people that genuinely enjoy the Digimon or enjoy the deck.
You said Grandis players.
Grandis is Grandis.
You really say Grandis players don't enjoy the deck?
You're a Grandis player. Do you enjoy Grandis?
Oh man. So next topic is
nah, you ain't slipping away on that.
Grandis is man. I think the deck needed to get hit, but it got hit entirely. And I don't know about the training cards in Japan. I know Grandis was like crazy with the training cards in Japan because it gave the deck what it needed the most, which was consistency. I honestly think out of all the OTK decks, right, Grandis is probably the most toxic because not a lot of cards can really get around being suspended. Now we have redirects, which makes it a little bit better to protect yourself, but the ability to just either run over something or just go around it is entirely too strong in Digimon. Like what Cardfight said earlier, we just need better defensive options, and we used to have that. It was back when like games had very little protection. It was more of an incentive to run like blockers and
notice how blockers, like the one cost blockers, all got phased out.
Yeah, nobody uses.
Remember, everybody was scrambling to get their hands on those. Now the only one that sees play at all, if at all, is the Kabuterimon, and that's only because it's a one cost Evo.
Yeah,
they don't even use it for the blocker.
No, you don't even use it for the blocker, and it's crazy because we're in a state in the Digimon card game where the option cards, unless they do really specific shit, are kind of useless in a way. Like how many people are still running a removal? We were talking about this like yesterday, Alex. How many people are like? How often do you run into like removal option cards? You might see like a Great Maelstrom here or there, but you really can't.
You'll see Megadeths at 2 to 3.
Yeah.
You'll see Maelstroms at 2 to 3. Gaia Force just got completely taken out of the deck. Like, Hades Force, you play it at 2.
Yeah.
Things like that. Defensive bombs and security, unless you're playing yellow, have just been pretty much phased out.
Or Bilzamon.
Well, there's a difference with that. I'll loop back to that. Relying on options was already such a gimmicky thing. Mm. So rather than rely on a gimmick, it's better to just streamline your deck to be consistent. And by running these bombs, and the only time you really want to see it is in security because you don't want to pay the 7, 8, 9 costs for these options, it's hurting your consistency. Mm-hmm. Like you draw your option and you're just like, well, this could have been anything else and I would have been happy.
Yeah.
Outside of like niche situations, like you're staring down a Quartzmon and the entire board's tap, you're like, man, I really wish I was running Gaia Force.
I was kind of liking what they did in BT-11, how they had like removal options, but they have a reduction on them if you do certain things.
Yeah,
that. I think like Digimon should start.
It started with BT-9.
Did it?
Yeah, because Garurumon had Metal Storm,
right,
and Gaia Force Zero,
yeah.
Gaia Force X, Gaia Force Zero, something like that.
Really,
those were the first of the reductions, and now they've gotten more creative with them, and I really like that.
I love the reductions, man. They really need to like. You're seeing it a little bit in BT-14 with the like the Angemon like option that's really good, and the Nova Flare option is really good. Like options are starting to pick back up and make the game a little bit more interesting in a way, because it's not so much just I have this stack and you have a stack, let's square up. It's like, okay, I have a stack, but how can I keep my stack alive by using like option cards and like using tamers? I wish there was more interaction that wasn't just square up with a stack, you know what I mean? Or like, my stack is my removal. I don't know how they can like fix that, but I liked it when it was.
There's actually a perfect example of how to fix it, and we turn our eyes to Beelzemon, who has in-archetype options that do what the deck wants to do, but they're also security bombs. Like, 100% you would rather mill your Deathslinger, your Rival's Barrage. 100% you want to mill those. But on the off chance that they do end up in your hand, or insecurity, they're doing something to affect the board state. If you get options that do similar things, like Great Maelstrom's actually a perfect example. I wish it was a little different because not every blue deck wants to be throwing a card from the board into their stack, but the ones that do really love Great Maelstrom because they're like, okay, I get to fix my stack, I get to get this inheritable, and I reduce the cost of this removal that's going to bot deck this problem of mine. And I think, what's the Grandel Soul? Grandel Soul, it reduces, if you have 2 cards on the board, you pay it for 5. Bot decks it, right?
Yeah, to spend something in bot
tap something in the bot deck. Yeah. Grandel Soul's great. If we get more options like that, I think that option cards will see more play and the game will benefit from it.
Well, option cards, I think, started to get phased out because like stacks had just so much protection.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
The Greymon decks single-handedly warped the meta. It was like, oh, they got protection. I can't destroy it with an option. Oh, I can't bot deck it with an option. All right, I'm just gonna take this out because there's gonna be Greymon decks everywhere.
Yeah, I'm telling, but they needed it though because it was so easy to just deal with a Greymon's like stack back before like BT-9. You could just blow it up with an option or like stun it.
If it ran into, if God forbid you run into a security control player, you know you're gonna hit something. Greymon just had no way to interact with that.
So in a way, I think that's fine that they have a little bit of protection. I just think the protection kind of got out of hand. It was like pseudo Digiburst in a way where you just remove you like trash 2 sources and you could just like stay protected. I kind of like the Black War Gray protection a little bit more because you have to have the X antibody. It's not,
it's more specific.
Yeah, it's
like Alphamon's protection was great too. It gives you the protection. You got it for a turn. Do as much damage as you can with that turn, or have a backup plan.
Because once you lose that war, you got to start from scratch, man, and that's not a spot you want to be.
So it's like get this Doru Greymon, get this protection, deal as much damage as you possibly can, and then hope to God that they don't have the removal to get rid of it. And part of it, there was a little bit of excitement in that hoping to God. You're sitting there crossing your fingers, drawing crosses on your heart, looking up at the sky like, yo, if there is some power up there, please protect my Oryukin.
Damn, I'm telling you. And
I mean, you look now.
Go ahead.
Like with option cards, that one of the best decks in the game doesn't run any, which is Hunters. Hunters does not run any option cards really. I mean, some people like to play with the overflowing power, but I think that card is kind of unnecessary. But like, yeah, the deck just has when you have a deck that's kind of like hyper offense, it has a very unique way of removing stuff without needing an extra step. I think that's where things are going. Like as soon as you put down a tamer or another Digimon, the Arrestramon is turned on. If you don't want to do that, then you look to build a tall stack with your Omni Shoutmon for his on Digivolve delete. Or if you reduce something enough, you can pop it with the Shoutmon's inheritable. Combination with that and the Ikaimon. So like that deck is just so fast in terms of moving your opponent's security down to 0 while at the same time having built-in methods to
built-in removal.
Built-in removal. So they don't. So like you never worry about their security. If you swing into their security, you're not sweating. You don't care what you hit in your security because anything you hit is, unless there's a quartz amount of security, and that's just power based. But if you're hitting 16 or if you're hitting like 16, whatever it is, you don't really worry about what's in their security. But At the same time, can you hit their security is the question, because they put on that deck can put on so much pressure that you can't get to their security.
That is true. Yeah. I think the best thing I do when I'm facing like a hunter's deck is like I kind of just have to wait until the superior mode comes out, and then I gotta just remove. You have to like pay attention to what they tuck too. You have to pay attention to how many superior modes that like are on board and how many arrested Dramons that are like they have cycled through. Because Arrested Dramon, superior mode is easy to deal with if it doesn't have rush, but the fact that Arrested Dramon can just give that motherfucker rush for like no memory whatsoever is, I think, where the issues lie. Like, because you can build back up next turn fairly quickly, but if you're at 2 security, right, and they swing and then tap Watchmaker, get 2 checks, you just know you're dead at that point. So it's not a lot that you can really. It's not a lot of counterplay. Yeah. And that's why blast mode is a thing, and that's why blast mode is going to fix the Digimon card game. Or ruin it. Oh, you gotta wait to see.
The ace cards. I think the ace cards are good. It's a nice spin on the game that I didn't expect, and I'm actually excited to see it. But that's too far ahead. Don't want to get too excited over the coming cards.
Sure.
BT or EX4 is next week. I'm excited for that, and BT-13 is next month, and boy, I'm ready for that one, man.
So ready for BT-13. I was just looking at the list, and we're just going to segue into EX4 and BT-13 hype to finish off the podcast. But man, I was looking at some of those cards, and I was just like, bro, there's so much deck building opportunity here that it's crazy. I was looking at the Leopardmon, what's his name, the Leopardmon.
The Leopardmon.
Yeah, I was looking at the Leopardmon, and I was like, I could play a green Digimon for free with a reduced cost of 4, and then I was like.
And then you got to pull up Digimon meta, Digimon card dev, go through the entire library. Like, oh, I can. This is a cute one. Oh, I could do this one. Oh,
and I threw in a Kawagamon from like BT. I think it was BT-2. That's like 4 costs, and it says on play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And I was like, okay, I could just fucking play this Kawagamon, suspend my opponent's Digimon for free, and just do a bunch of funny shit. So I'm ready. I'm so ready. I've been brewing decks for the past 4 days.
I'm a big believer that 11, 12, and 13 is peak Digimon. Like, we got a bunch of tools that just lead to a bunch of interesting builds. Of course, once the meta's solved, people are going to flock to the best deck in the format because, I mean, you're investing time and money into this. Why wouldn't you want to play the best deck? There's going to be people like that. I don't blame you for it. Play the best deck. But there's so many other viable decks. Like, a tier list doesn't do the format justice because you're going to put these decks in tier 1, you're going to put these decks in tier 2, but all of the tier 2 decks can box into the tier 1 decks. You're going to put decks in tier 3 and they'll struggle against the tier 1 decks, but they'll box just fine into tier 2 decks. They just have a few bad matchups in the tier 2 that puts them a little lower.
Definitely agree with that. I really think people have been saying Dark Knightmon gets it gets to about tier 1.5. I honestly don't see it. I think Dark Knight is still a little too slow.
That Dark Knight is perfectly fine. It has all the tools that it needs to top an event. I think with a good pilot and a solid deck build, you can absolutely top 8, top 16 a regional with Dark Knight because Dark Knight's super solid and the dual tamer solves a bunch of issues with the deck because like the deck's problem is that it ran out of steam, losing because once you play out one, you still lose one of your sources, and since you need a Dark Knight and what's the other one?
Deadly Axe.
Deadly Axe, yeah. So you play one and you lose the other one. Well, now that tamer fixes it. You just tap the tamer down, and now you can pick one up from the trash and use it.
And it's interesting that they don't have save. I didn't see much of Cross Wars growing up, but all the other like cross decks have some kind of form of save. Is that like an in-lore reason that they can't save?
It's a lore thing, yeah.
Okay.
The Crossheart and Blue Flare, they were basically they had the protagonist Digivices, and whenever they were wounded in battle, they would run into the Digivice and save, so that way they could recover.
Oh wow.
Dark Knight was just that guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't need no tamer. You, my tamer is my tool."
That's
And they just physically didn't scratch him enough for him to go try to jump into a Digivice. That's why they didn't do it. Anytime he got damaged, he just broke into Deadly Axe, or he switched forms.
That's funny. I need to watch. That sounds kind of interesting. Maybe I should give that season a watch. I don't know.
Yeah, the Digimon is very good at translating the lore into the card game. I'm so satisfied whenever I look at a card and I can think back to the series that I watched, and I'm like, this makes perfect sense.
Definitely. What is the one card you feel like you can see that the most, though? Just out of curiosity.
One card I could see that the most in. That's a good question. I haven't even really thought about it, but Crossheart and Blue Flare is a perfect example. The whole save mechanic just fits so well. It's just such a good translation of the whole series in and of itself. Oh, no, I know.
What's that?
The one card that's like, yes, this is entirely accurate with how the series went. BT-12 BT-12 Marcus.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
It does not get any closer to the series than BT-12 Marcus.
That is true.
I'm gonna turn into a Digimon. I'm gonna square up with your security, and because I'm squaring up with your security, I get to Digivolve my Greymon. Yeah, it does that. That is 100% the very first episode of Digimon. I showed Jared the first episode of Data Squad, and he was just like, "Bro, I knew Marcus was like that, but I didn't know Marcus was like that."
This is the dawn of time, dude. He's just ready to square up with his own Digimon. Like, what?
I need to watch
Very
this
first
one.
episode, he's beating up these gang members, and Agumon stumbles upon him. He's just like, "What you doing, stomping in my grounds, bro?" And Agumon's like, "What are you talking about, human?" He squares up and punches Agumon in the face, bro. The Data Squad members are like, "Yo, get that human away from the Digimon before the Digimon hurts him." And they just watch Marcus punch Agumon, and they're just like, "Hey, yo."
It's so good, man. It's so entertaining.
I would love to watch Data Squad if it's just Marcus beating the shit out of Digimon for like 70 episodes.
Honestly, it is.
It's
For 50 episodes, it is literally just almost every episode Marcus punching a Digimon at some point in the episode just so that he could get to Digivolve.
That's funny, man. That's fucking funny. What about you?
Like later in the series, it got to the point where he punched Craniumon's shield and broke Craniumon's shield.
How do you break Craniumon's
Craniumon,
shield?
that's supposed to be the ultimate defensive Digimon. He just runs up, jumps on the ground all the way up to Craniumon's face and just goes.
Dump some, bro.
So why isn't there a card that, like, I guess at some point we're going to get a Marcus that says when this Digimon when the Digimon is blocked by like Marcus, it like loses like 5k then, I guess, bro. Or like
I mean, technically we got that with the BT-13 Marcus.
Oh, that is true.
He's tapped minus 3k. Yeah.
Well, they already beat me.
Yeah, and you have a lot more enablers to allow him to attack. Yeah.
That's insane. What about you? What about you, Jared? What are you excited for the most in BT in EX4 and BT-13?
Do I have to really answer that, man?
Man, chess? That's crazy, bro.
Just segue, man. Ew, no.
No, I'm excited. I'm really excited to play Shine Greymon. I've been waiting a year, maybe 2 years, for some actual Shine Greymon support. They kind of sprinkled it in with,
Yellow hybrid and stuff, but
Yellow Hybrid, Rise X, and all of that, Sunrise Buster. But actually getting a deck that revolves around Marcus is really exciting to play. It's something where it's just so out there. You wouldn't think a tamer would be able to just swing out a Digimon, right? It's spices things up, and it just adds a new avenue for deck building, or like deck ideas that Bandai could do. Bandai's R&D team could make for the game. And so, like, getting Ruin Mode in the game gives the deck a level 7 and a way to start the stack over, because like the biggest weakness of the deck right now is just you're not killing them. And once the shine stack dies, like much like a lot of other Greymon decks, once that initial stack dies, you're behind on like 2 turns, potentially more. If you gotta just start over and you can't move out of raising, it's like your tamer is most likely going to be fine, but you got to deal with the backlash of whatever your opponent does, because they could have security options. They could have just a Digimon that just swings and pops it or swings into it. So having Ruin Mode, just be able to kind of swing, reset the board, and then kind of discourage your opponent from moving out or weakening their Digimon when they move out, is much appreciated. And then 13, I get to do a bunch of other combo shenanigans. The deck is actually going to have a complete set of support that I can rely on, and yeah, it's going to be really strong. But we haven't seen it, we haven't gotten it, and we're going to be playing best of 3, so we'll see how it really pans out in the English meta.
Fuck Ruin Mode, bro. That card.
You're just mad because you can't play Bloom into Ruin Mode because it just ruins your entire board.
I remember I was playing against Spider-Man, who was playing his Ravemon deck like a while back, and then he went into Ruin Mode, and then he was like, all right, everything gets minus 5k, and then I just look at him, and I look at the Ruin Mode, and I look at my fucking Age of Tauren raising, and I'm like, all right, I passed. I just can't even fucking do anything, man. It sucks, bro. Ruin Mode sucks.
Yeah, but like it halts you for a turn, but they usually can't kill you off of the Ruin Mode. So if you either
yeah, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. They usually can't kill you once they go into Ruin Mode. The Ruin Mode is kind of just a way for them to stall the game out so that they can either start up another stack or kind of just prepare a backup plan. But usually you could pass turn, maybe play like a memory boost or something, and then clap back once the Ruin Mode's taken care of, because it takes care of itself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, also the thing with Ruin Mode is that Shine Greymon is the only one that can actually go into it for free, where most people are going to end up passing turn after digivolving into it. So most of the time, you're only going to have that minus 5k to the to the board, but you're not going to get the swing, destroy, hatching.
Yeah, the whole minus 10 to the board to actually shut down your plays.
I mean, and when you attack with the Ruin Mode, it'll blow itself up, and then
that's what I said. They're not going to get the minus 10 blanket versus the minus 5.
No, the most they're going to get is what, like 2 minus 5s, assuming that the Shine Greymon.
Yeah, 2 separate minus 5s versus minus 10 in one turn.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the Alter B deck then? Like,
it's mid. I think it's mid.
It's a cool deck, but I think it's just inconsistent and slow.
It's just a different version of the Imperial, the red purple Imperial.
Yep.
You need
EX sets are supposed to be self-contained. You build the deck out of the stuff that's in the set. You'll have 1 to 2 decks that survive going into an actual format, but outside of that, EXs are pretty much skippable sets. Like, if you look at it, well, you can't even take EX1 because EX1 was a dumpster fire. But started with EX2, they started doing self-contained decks. EX2 was what? The
Digital
um
Hazard.
Digital Hazard, that was
Beelzemon,
Beelzemon, Gallantmon.
Mm.
Yeah. Look at those decks. They competed well against each other outside of Mega Gargamon. um, they competed well against each other, but what decks actually made splashes in the meta outside of that? Gallantmon and Beelzemon. That's really it. And look how long it took Beelzemon to actually do that.
Hey, well, hold on now. Sakuyamon gets a little buff in EX fucking 4, bro. Maybe she could do it.
Again, look how long it took to get there.
I mean, but it's coming.
It's coming, but again, it didn't touch the meta until now, where she's getting her support, and it's in EX set again, so it's probably not going to do all that much.
Bro, you could.
But if you look at EX3, you had Examon, and
that's it.
That's
it.
really
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Examon survived and made splashes in the meta, and now we're going into EX4. The only ones really looking to come out on top is Shine and Mirage, and I guess Ravemon as well. But even they still need the extra oomph from BT-13 to make splashes.
Well, the unique thing about that is that the Shine and Mirage is just continued support from a previous main set. It's something to boost them. It's not like the decks were introduced to you in
True.
EX as their as their own thing, and yeah. I mean, so I think decks that are introduced in EX, they need to eventually get main deck support, main set support, like Ravemon. Ravemon is coming out in that set, but you get one line for Ravemon in an option card, but it doesn't even have, but you don't have enough of the line and like what traits you need in the Digimon in order for it to be really kind of like a functional deck for their play style until BT-13, when you actually get another Ravemon, another Crowmon, another Falcomon, another all this other stuff. But like with Mirage, Galgamon, and Shine, like I think Mirage got its newish support in BT-11, but it just it was just, here's a taste of what the future is like. Shine Greymon got its support this set. Here's a taste of what the future is like. EX4, let me add some more cards to your line to give the new style of play for your deck a lot more consistency. BT-13, let's cap it off with more support plus your burst mode.
You know what's something interesting?
Super stoked for it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Machine Dramon has got support in each EX set.
Machine Dramon gets support in every set. It's not just EX. Anytime Greymon gets support, Machine Dramon gets support, because all Metal Greymons are cyborgs.
Yep.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Anytime there's a Metal Tyrannomon, that's support.
I mean, they've
Mirage Galgamon, support.
I mean, they've came out with another Chaos Dramon and then a Chaos Dramon X Anybody and a new machine. I mean, Machine Dramon probably has gotten the most support out of any like archetype in the entire game, like consistent support. It's a shame
because Machine Dramon's that dude that goes to a dinner. Like, y'all go out to a restaurant and everybody orders their own dinners, and Machine Dramon's like, "Hey, let me, hey, you gonna finish that? hey, little bro, let me get a bite."
Yeah, I swear.
Like, yeah, here's a new Giga Dramon or Mega Dramon. Oh man, that's a Metal Mame card? Hold up. Get to that real quick.
I've always said I think the amount of support Machine Dramon has received, it should be a tier 0 deck by now, but
Nah, not tier 0.
No,
Tier
it's
1
tier
for
one.
sure. I think a properly built Machine Dramon deck, which is hard to do because it got so much, with a properly built Machine Dramon deck and a proper pilot, that deck can easily take down a tournament.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
I meant tier 0 as in a deck should not be getting support every single format for it not to be the best in the game. That's
I
like,
mean, nah, that just shows how balanced the build the design is.
Yeah, look at Greymon, bro. He's been getting he's been getting fucking support since the starter decks, and he's still trash. Look at that.
And he's still getting support.
Yeah, he's still
Greymon has
getting
been getting
support, bro.
I wouldn't say trash, but he's
yeah,
still not the
trash.
best. There's always a meta relevant Greymon deck, but it's
yeah.
not always the oppressor.
Peak Greymon was BT-11 though.
You said Zeke?
I said
Peak
Oh, Peak
Peak
Greymon. Oh yeah,
Greymon.
Peak. Yeah.
Greymon was best in BT-11 because it had the speed and there was like nothing else in that set.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Mm. How you feeling about Belfamon card fight? How you feeling about that?
I really love that deck. That deck is like super fun looking to play. It brings me back to like the days of like purple, like what purple is as a color, what you want to do, the drop, draw, and whatnot. I like the whole Belfamon sleep mode, rage mode, like being able to change modes mechanic they have there.
Mm.
It has, one of the important things to me nowadays is having built-in removal instead of having to rely on the option cards, which is like an extra step. And so, like Belfamon Rage Mode, having that built-in removal is really, really nice, and the deck can just speed through. Plus, you don't even have to. Like the other thing is that, and which is what I think is also going to help Beelstar too, because I think what we do is we move towards using Bell support that we don't have to rely on a card dying to security or having to lose tempo by swinging into something that's bigger
Mm.
in order to get your draw plays to set up your drop zone. You have like the new was like the AT cards, whatever it is, that you come down, you pop something, then you reduce their play cost, and then you can get the ability cuts off of popping stuff. So it's honestly, I think the deck is really good. I've was been watching a lot of East's videos, and the deck's definitely been taking down um, quite a bit of tournaments since BT-13 started, and now that they got the training cards, it's gotten it's that those training cards pretty much helped out every other deck. But I think that with Belfamon BT-13, it brings real a real non-cookie cutter type of purple deck to the game, because I think when you compare that deck to Beelzemon, Beelzemon's a deck where you just push on the gas pedal and you kind of go and you kind of just react to whatever you mill and try to set up the burn. Whereas this deck is, you're setting up your drop zone. You want to put as many rage mode copies in your drop zone as possible. You want to make sure that you have your ATs in the drop zone, and then figure out which ones you have in your hand to use. So, okay, I can send this to the bottom of the deck to do certain things. So it's really, you're definitely thinking a lot more. You're definitely planning out your turns and setting up a lot more. But the reward is really nice, and I think it's a really good way to compete with purple. And you can think back. It's kind of like the old quote unquote loop decks. Before the broken mechanics of the what is it, the that white card that lets you digivolve, I can't, Mega Digimon Fusion. Before that, before the whole Izamon loop and things like that, it really kind of feels like a more structured deck that way. So I really enjoy it. I think it's going to be one of the better decks in the game for BT-13 as well, but it's also not going to be a deck that you're going to just pick up and kind of just roll with. It's a deck where you have to kind of know what your opponent's playing, kind of know what your drop zone setup is, and um, you're really going to actually have to play a game of Digimon with the deck. That's what I think. You're really gonna have to actually play a game of Digimon with the deck.
Mm. I kind of miss loop decks, honestly. I think they like that amount of skill has kind of been gone out of Digimon for a while. Like we kind of had that with like it's Minerva, right? I get Minerva and Merva mixed up quite a bit, but
And Minerva was fine. Minerva was fine this format. I know my boy Rip. He topped I believe I think it was the Ultimate Cup or one of the regionals or something. But he did well with I know he was featured on Ying's channel. He got like top 16 and top 32 with a Minerva loop, and he recently just played that and won his store championships in Cali with the Minerva loop deck.
really,
So it's still around. It's still around as well, but I think that you're right. It definitely is not an easy deck to play with, and you got to think about it this way: how fast has the game gotten? Why play loop when I can play Beelzemon and just react to whatever I mill? Why take the hard route of playing loop than playing Beelzemon? Why play loop when I can play hunters and draw 5 cards by attacking with all the purple sources?
All gas, no brakes.
Right, all gas, no brakes. Right, and like I said, and I'll segue this to
Fuck a red light.
right. And I'll segue this into Beelstar. Like the issue I've been having with Beelstar is that Beelstar needs setup, and trying the mill version out of the deck just for that type of setup was okay at first, but you weren't getting but you were milling your boss cards, and you had to find extra steps to getting to the place that you need and whatnot. So you go back to the drop draw style, which is what Belfamon has, but with the drop draw style, like if you're swinging into tamers and low power cards like that, your Eismon's not dying, and no longer can you say, "Oh, well, my Eismon hit your security. It has jamming. It didn't die, but that's okay because now it's a body on the field and I can swing at you." It's like, well, if I don't get my setup by a certain turn, every other deck is getting their setup on the way to getting their ideal board state, whereas I have to stop, try to get my setup again to get to my ideal board state. Because the thing is that I'm stopping, you're not, and that's the issue that I think the Belfamon support solves with a lot of with that type of deck, is that I don't have to exactly stop anymore to get my setup. I can keep playing cards and keep getting my setup while progressing my board state.
and I appreciate you all. I learned a lot today.
I think it's a good time to see if anybody in chat has any questions.
Yeah, I
Or do
think-
we have any questions from Twitter or anything?
Yeah, I think we should go and ask some people some questions. I don't think we have any questions from Twitter, but if chat had any questions while we're wrapping things up, now's the time to kind of like ask them. Oh, we also got
questions, comments, concerns.
We got a follow earlier. I'm gonna load that up really quick. Also, I know this is a little bit late, but TK10, first time commenting earlier, he said, where is it? Is that CardfightKing? Big fan. And he said, I won my locus because of your videos. I'm not sure if he's still around. We got another follow. It's beautiful. Oh, is that 10? Is that 10?
That's 10. Of course it's 10.
Of
course it's 10. It wouldn't be anyone other than 10.
It's a fucking dick. Oh my god. I thought it was like some like guy.
Next is the King of Sonic Frontiers, Fortnite, and Fall Guys.
No.
Oh, we got a bunch of follows. I'm gonna get the follows.
How do y'all feel about the politically incorrect Kazuhamon / Blue Mastermon? What?
I think that Kazuhamon is a cracked card that's only going to get better as the game goes on. And I was hesitant to try out the toolbox version of the deck just because I want to use Kazuha in Sakuyamon, and I was a purist. But after playing around with Kazuhamon, I'm actually super excited to try blue toolbox.
I'm not
just think that there's so much potential there.
I'm not smart enough to crack that shit. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Said mass same.
The Kazuhamon?
Politically correct Mastamon, because Kazuhamon pretty much acts as a Mastamon, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thanks,
And
not to,
it is part yellow, so you can use it as a backup for Mastamon.
Yes, you can.
Thanks,
Your
not to,
your
for the
uh
follow, by the
your
way.
Gatomons actually hit Kazuhamon. Gatomon actually hits Kazuhamon.
Oh, true, yeah. And Kazuhamon can spit Gatomon out for playing off.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah, it's true.
Kazuhamon just opens an entire playing field of things that you do. It's kind of insane.
I want to get some shout outs.
I'm-
Thanks,
Probably find
not
something to mess
to
around with yellow.
for the follow. Thanks, I hate Kmont for the follow. I appreciate it. Thanks, Big T Gaming for the follow. And if Nigel's around, thanks for the follow from the other day. I forgot about it. I think that's all.
And I think we could probably wrap things up there, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to wrap things up. Thank you guys so much. We're going to try to do these on Thursdays going forward. It's just a little bit easier for everybody to come out on Thursdays. And any closing remarks, guys?
Life's too short to play low tier.
Invest in Bitcoin.
Get your staples.
Only
the biggest
like.
remark of all. Go ahead, because I want to save the biggest one for when we close it out.
Oh man, only art the decks you like. Swear to God.
All right, and the last one that you always got to remember, you got to finish it.
Gotta finish it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.